Absolutely over the moon with that. What a carp and what a place. Yes. Oh, thank you, Beast. Go on, son. Yes.
Welcome to Swan Valley in the heart of carp fishing Mecca, Yateley. We've come to this venue for two reasons. Firstly, to try and catch some of the 40-plus-year-old carp that live in here, some really gnarly old historic fish, and to take photos and videos of some of our latest new products. We're pretty much all settled in, the rods are out, and fingers crossed those Yateley Carp pay us a visit. I am all settled in, and like I say, the rods are out, and the swim that I'm in, it looks, yeah, really nice. We've seen some fish about, and sort of where I'm fishing, I've got a bank of weed in sort of an L shape. It comes in front of the swim and then goes from the right of the swim out into the lake. So there's a bit of an L shape, and then I'm fishing, I guess, sort of just out from where the weed is on the surface. It's only short range work. It's like 8.5 wraps where I'm fishing, but I had a bit of a lead about when I got here, and just felt basically where the weed stopped, both going out that way and coming down off of this weed bed to my right, and there was just a lovely little bit of sort of pea shingle gravel that just, like, it's got to be a known spot in this swim. It's going to be a spot that gets bait, and I don't mind that. I don't always want to find something that's completely different. The fish feed there, they get fed there. I'm quite happy to go in with my tactics on that spot. So that's exactly what I've done. I've done two German Flippa rigs, just with little wafters on, tipped with pink, and that's gone out over probably about 3 kilos of sweet corn and boilies. So that's my opening gambit. I've got John to my left, and I've got Kieran to my right, and then the other guys are just a little bit further, sort of as this bank adjacent to us goes down. So we're only really fishing a small section of the lake. It kind of goes, there's 2 parts to the lake. You've got this big area here that's probably, I don't know, 8 acres, and then you've got another bay that comes round the corner that's probably 2 acres. No one's fishing in there. I anticipate the fish may back off into there because we're all in here, but yeah, we all need to be in here because we need to be close together so we can get everything shot that we need to. I'm going to be doing my first ever night in the Frontier Light, which has got the Vapor Peak. I'm quite excited about that. It's gone up really nice and easily. Kieran's next to me in the new Retreat Brolly with the extension. He's got his Vapor shield and the inner dome and everything. It's all proper decked out. So we've got some nice kit to be fishing with, and hopefully there's going to be some nice carp to show for it. But yeah, that's my opening gambit. Let's hope it works.
Well, I've had one, which is a brilliant start, to be honest. I initially woke up feeling a little bit, nothing's happened throughout the night, as you tend to do. And I was just sorting out, trying to make myself a cup of tea, and looking out, started fizzing. Thought, oh, that's good. Right on me. Few more patches of bubbles, and I thought I could get a bite now. I tried to set up a camera on the rods and didn't have time, and the rods ripped off. And in the net safe, or in the net secured by the net safe and the net cover, I've got a lovely scaly mirror. It's not a giant, it's not one of the ones that this lake's known for, it's one for the future, but it gives us a perfect opportunity to show some of the new products like the net safe. We've got a new easy mat as well, which we will be making sure that he's kept all nice and safe when he's on the bank with. And in the meantime, I need to get my rod back out because I think there's a good chance of another bite. So what I've been using is the Naturals Submerge leader material. I've got the new Naturals coloured leg clip there. So we've got all new end tackle bits in Naturals. And basically the reason that we decided to change to this like quite dark translucent green colour was because when we were developing the camo, we took that directly from the trans khaki, and we knew that the trans khaki was exceptionally good in many situations, and we knew that just adding that camo fleck to the trans khaki would make it even better in a lot of scenarios. But what we were finding with our consultants is they were saying they still wanted, or they wanted, and they've been missing from our range for a long time, a green darker version for certain situations, weedy lakes, and this place is absolutely perfect for that. It's an old gravel pit, so the silt's quite dark. It's had, you know, years and years of leaf matter and weed rotting away, creating that silt. So these dark silty areas, lots of weed as well, so loads of that green in the lake, and all of these bits are going to appear just like any other bit of weed matter, whatever, on the lake bed. So it's not going to raise any suspicion. Proof is in the pudding. I've had one this morning, so happy days with that. And yeah, I've just put my hook bait back on, which is a little wafter tipped with a bit of pink, little pink Dairy Supreme pop up there, just topped off on top. And it's a German Flippa Rig, which since these wide gape long shanks have come out has been my go-to if I'm using a hook bait on the bottom. And fish was absolutely nailed. So happy days. I'm going to get it back out because there are fish in the area, and I think there's another chance. So I've had the fish resting in the net with the help of the net safe. Now with this, you've got two uprights that have got two little sort of locking flanges that sit above and below the arms of the landing net, which help stop rotation of the net either side, and of course help stop it getting pulled forward. And then at the back, you've got almost a butt rest style grip that grips that landing net handle really tightly, so even if the fish does really go for a big bolt when it's in the net, it's not going to pull out of there. And a lot of people don't believe that fish escape from landing nets even when you've got them this high up off of the water, but even in the short maybe 15 minutes that we've had this fish in the net, it has tried to escape 3 or 4 times, and probably twice, if we didn't have the net cover on and we didn't have it staked out with a net safe, it would have escaped. So
If you are fishing a venue where retaining fish is banned in a retaining sling, slings are banned or sacks are banned, but you just need to get your kit sorted, this is the way to do it. And equally, I think that this is quicker and less stress on the fish than actually getting the fish out, then putting it in the sling, putting it back in the water for you to get the rod back out, have a cup of tea, whatever you're going to do, and then get the fish out again. You're only getting the fish out of the water once if you use this system, which for me, the less time you can get the fish out of the water, the better. So talking about getting the fish out of the water, let's do exactly that. So I'm just going to pop it off, take that out, and yeah, fishery rules on here state that you have to take everything out with the help of a sling. So we're going to break the net down, place a sling underneath the fish, and pull it out. I'm just going to pop the net cover off really easily like that, break the net down, roll it down nice and tight. Obviously, once I get it down nice and tight to the fish, I need to check all of its fins, make sure they're all flat against its body. And get the sling and just open the sling up, pass the fish into the sling, close it up, making sure that the fish is nice and straight. He's just kicked himself round, straight there. Everything's nice and flat, and lift him out. There we go, my first ever Yateley Carp, and I'm absolutely over the moon about it. It felt like it sort of wasn't going to happen when I first woke up, and then all of a sudden it was like it was definitely going to happen, and it did. This Scaley mid-double paid me a visit, and yeah, you can see we've got the new Easy Mat, which actually has an extra rib in it, which stiffens up the center part, because that was always a bit of an issue with the original or the earlier Easy Mats, was that center part on the walls just wasn't quite rigid enough. So we've strengthened that up. We've also added a full length zip as well, and it's coated with this little one absolutely perfectly, but it would also cope with fish a lot bigger too. So hopefully we can try that out later this session. But right now I'm going to get him back, have a cup of tea, and think about what we've got to do next. So it's about 11 o'clock-ish now, and any of the feeding activity that was happening kind of died out about 7:30, 7:45. So there was only a short window really of maybe an hour and a half where it seemed like they were feeding. And I think the best thing for me to do is to actually bring my lines out of the water and just give the general area a bit of a rest. Where we've booked this whole venue out to make sure that we've got sort of exclusivity to get these products that currently, as we talk, are top secret. We're all quite close together, which leaves a lot of this venue where there's freedom for the fish to swim uninterrupted by anglers. And when you've got situations like that, it's very likely that the fish are going to push out into those unpressured areas. So I think it's very worthwhile for me to bring the lines in and yeah, put them out again this evening. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. I've got line markers just at the end of my rod tips, so I'm just going to get them in position and put it in the clip and bring them in. So today, since winding in those rods, has been a long day, but a good day. We've cracked on, got a load of work done, and it gave me the opportunity this afternoon to get my floater gear and head over to the back bay. Now, throughout the day, like I mentioned before, because we're all fishing in the main lake, I suspected that more and more fish would head out away from us, and the back bay is where they have gone. And throughout the day, there's been more and more fish getting in there, and it definitely looked like there was an opportunity. It didn't look like there was going to be something nailed on, but there was fish cruising about close to the surface, and I thought it was worth a try. So went back to the van, got my floater rod, floater bag, all the bits and bobs, and had a go. And it's been tricky, to say the least. There's been fish sort of almost all afternoon taking the odd one, and then it'd be 10 minutes later before another one would take, and then the gulls would come. And yeah, I managed to sort of feed the gulls off and also put a line out across the bay, which kept them at bay, for want of a better term. And yeah, I managed to eventually, after moving swims and positioning myself adjacent or parallel to a big weed bed where a lot of the fish were holding up in, and as the evening's drawn in, I've got them taking, sort of one was taking, then another one joined it, and then one started taking out the back. There was one fish that was an absolute colossus, easily a 40-pounder. Its shoulders were like this, coming out of the water, taking the floaters, the heart's going like that. And yeah, I managed to get my bolt bubble all rigged up, short hook link. I love a short hook link, especially with those bolt bubbles, size 10 zig and floater hook, and a soft floater on the hair. Managed to get it into a position where it just sort of held on a little bit of weed that was away from the main bulk of the weed. It sort of stayed in that position, fed some more floaters around it, and drew the fish closer to that little zone. And once they got into the zone, it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion. And the first fish that had a go at the hook bait, massive eruption on the surface, as you get with those bolt bowls, absolutely exhilarating. Clutches going straight away, it's nailing it for the weed bed. I've had to give it proper bit of side strain, really try and hold it down to turn it, but whilst at the same time wincing because you've only got a light hook link on and a small hook. But yeah, using a floater rod, you know that it can absorb those lunges. Managed to turn it from that weed bed, and as I was pumping it back, slowly but surely it sort of started to collect more weed that was loose around its head, which actually stopped it fighting, and did me a massive favour, to be honest, because I think now, knowing what I know now, the size of the tail on it, if it had carried on fighting, I could have been in big trouble. But that weed amongst it around its head slowed it down. I could just ease it back, and then when it actually got in front of me, there was a bank of weed just in front, and I had to there was a little channel that I sort of steered it through. Scott was waiting there with the net, and because all the weed had collected around the bolt bubble, and then you had maybe 18 inches, 2 foot behind it where the fish was, it was really difficult to land. So I actually grabbed the line by my hand, steered it past the net. The main bulk of the weed was past the net and really close to Scott, so Scott's right underneath it. The fish has sort of appeared over the top of the net. He's managed to start lifting. I've dropped the line, so the fish sort of sunk down a bit. I've grabbed the side of the net, lifted it up, and we've got it in the net. And yeah, my first Yateley carp off of the top, absolutely buzzing. And yeah, couldn't have asked for a better sort of conclusion to the day. I think the only thing that's going to top the conclusion of the day is the barbecue on the cook station. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, first up, check out this fish. Well, I bet you didn't think I'd be holding up an 80 this session, but this in fact is 80 centimetres, as the measure that is in this welded Carp Master mat tells me. Yeah, a little bit of a different feature for an unhooking mat. It's got a measure on it. The Europeans do enjoy measuring their fish, so why not put it on the bottom of an unhooking mat? And yeah, just out of interest, 80 centimetres. Another 20 centimetres, it'd be a metre long. It's got an absolutely massive tail. It weighed 25 pounds, and I'm absolutely over the moon to have caught it. It's the first carp I caught off the top so far this year. It properly made me work. I finished all of my product bits for the day, picked up my floater rod, came to the back bay, and I've got myself an old crusty Yateley mirror off the top. What could be better? A few more days, who knows what else could happen. So yeah, that brings us bang up to date, and whilst my rods are still in, they're all clipped up, ready to go back out. I'm gonna head back round to Scott and Ben, because I believe they are firing up the cook stations, and yeah, I can't wait for a good feed because it's been a long, hard day and we all deserve it.
Well, this morning has been kind of the most perfect carp fishing morning you can imagine. But it's also been very frustrating because for an hour and a half since 4 o'clock, I've been watching these fish bubble all on me, all around me, show, and I was getting to the point where I was thinking something's wrong. I've either been done, I did have birds diving on me in the night, so maybe they ruined something. I was just tying up a new rig and thinking maybe I'll put it back out, and the right hand has pulled up tight, and I'm attached. And yeah, it really, I'm sure it helped yesterday leaving the lines out. I literally put the rods back out after dark last night, so from 11 o'clock till almost 11 o'clock, 12 hours, there was no lines in the water. And yeah, it definitely allowed the fish to come back because they weren't here when I brought the rods in, that's for sure. Where is he? Oh, I cannot see him at all. I'm just gonna have to go for it and hope. I can see the tail. Is it over the neck cord? That wasn't supposed to happen. Is he in? Yeah, I can see. I can see a tail. Right. There's a fish in the net. I have no idea how big he is or what. There is a fish. There he is. Come on. Yeah. Happy days. Long one. Quite long one actually. He's growing a bit. Wicked job. Yeah. Proper happy with that. My sort of decisions throughout
yesterday certainly paid off because I caught a bonus fish on the floaters, and yeah, it's allowed them to come back in. And it's earlier than yesterday. It's probably 5:15, maybe 5:30 now since playing that fish. I'm going to get the rod back out. I might even put a couple more spods out and see whether we can get another one. They're definitely not the sort of fish that you can just absolutely plunder and catch loads and loads, but I can maybe nick another one this morning. Who knows? Yes. Here we go. Is an ounce bigger than the one I had yesterday at exactly 25 pounds. Happy days. Another 25 pounder, really lovely long one, this one. Have a look at that absolute classic Yateley Carp, and yeah, buzzing with it, to be honest. I've had a really good session so far, and even though it's been tricky, just I guess trying to be cute, trying to be clever with my angling, and I think it definitely caught me an extra fish yesterday, and I think it's probably caught me this fish as well today. Winding in, leaving those lines out for a long time, letting them fish come back in, and yeah, this morning they were on it, to be fair, and yeah, this is the result on a little wafter, tip with pink over sweet corn and boilies. Absolute classic combination for me in the summer, and yeah, over the moon. Oh, my arms are still wet from putting that fish back, and the same rod, that right hander, has gone again. He's just trying to get me into this weed bed, which I think is fairly unavoidable in this swim, the weed that's just out in front. But it hasn't seemed to be too much of a problem so far. It seems to come off quite easily. Oh, the dorsal's just poked out there. Ooh. Ah, look at that. That is awesome to see. His tail flapping out, his head's now bogged down. But he's facing away from me, so that's making it awkward. Look at him poking his dorsal out like that. Oh, lovely linear that. Yeah, I really want to get this in. But yeah, just like before, he's now got a load of weed on him. I'm gonna have to try and orchestrate it so that the weed just comes back in a nice line and I can scoop it all up. Oh, this isn't ideal at all. Go on, mate. Go on, kick yourself out. There you go. There you go. There you go. Oh no. Oh, I really want to get this in because this is a nice fish. Can I reach that with the net? Oh, sorry, I'm going in. Oh, he's just holding there on the surface. Right, this will be hopefully. Right, he's in. Simple as that. He just stayed there. He just stayed there. Awesome. Oh, that weed would not unroot itself actually. It's hard when you're only on a short line. But that is a wicked fish. That is a really, really cool old carp. And yeah, I could see what I was playing from early on. And yeah, wow. Oh, what a fish that is. Yeah, wicked. That's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Happy days. And it's here actually. Oh yeah, they'll creep back. Well, I can't quite believe the carnage. I just literally just bitten the line on that fish that's just gone in the net, tied on another leader that I had ready. I've cast it out and I've turned around to put the kettle on, and it's gone straight away. You know, that fish has gone in the net 5 minutes ago. Yeah, mad. I didn't expect another bite, I've got to admit, but you take them all day when it's like this, that's for sure. And it's done exactly the same thing, sort of come in quite easily, and he's in this weed out in front of me. I think I am getting wet. The shoes and socks have got to come off again. I just dried my feet. Right. Let's see. Actually, no, I'd like my waders. Ah, now I've taken my socks off, and bare feet in waders is the worst kind of feet in waders.
It's the best kind of chicken.
Fit with like big, thick socks is the best kind of feet in waders. Cheers, mate. Bare feet with bark and stuff on them is the worst. Especially slightly moist feet. Right, let's go. Now what I really want to know is how far out I can go, which I don't reckon is going to be all that far. I'm just trying to sort of grab the weed and help pull it towards me. Let's try and pick it off a bit. Right, I've got the leader here, so the fish won't be too far behind. Right, the leg clip is literally out of the water, so if I can get down. He might be in the net. If he's dived, have I missed him? Oh no. Oh no, he's in. There he is. There he is. Oh, happy days. I had no idea whether he was in or not, but he is. It's just gone all over me back. But I've got him. Oh. Wow, what a morning. That was a bit stressful. But we've got another one. Nice scaly one. He's a bit angry now. But yeah, happy days. That is proper not been in the water very long at all. Let's just pop that out. Wide-gate longshank doing its business. He's actually a really lovely carp. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, how's that for a spangly scaled mirror? Just over 18.5 pounds. This was the second one of the 2 that I've just had since that first one this morning. So 3 bites this morning, and yeah, it just goes to show there's many ways to build a swim, and it's not just with constant baiting and yeah, keeping the rods in. Sometimes giving them that space, giving them that rest can build a swim just as well as working it hard. So I'm absolutely over the moon. The next one that I'm going to show you is, yeah, a proper nice old Yateley Carp. So wicked, don't really know what else to say apart from let's have a look at that one. .28.6. £28, 6 ounces, and yeah, I'm blown away with this morning's fishing. Really, it's been absolutely fantastic. And yeah, one moment I was thinking, oh, have I done something wrong? My rig's not working, and then bang, bang, bang. 3 fish, really quick succession, confirmed that everything that I was doing was right, and I needn't have doubted myself. Those German flippers are absolutely fantastic, and I've used them pretty much since spring. I use them almost exclusively for when I'm fishing hook baits on the deck. So yeah, absolutely made up. What a fish. Okay, so the rods are in now. We've actually just been doing a little piece on the new lounger chair that I've sat in, which is really rather comfortable. But I'm going to show you in a little bit more detail the rig that I've been using. I call this a German Flippa rig simply because it's tied like a German rig and it's got a flipper on it. That's literally it. I don't know whether you'd call it anything different to that, but that's what I call it. And basically, how I tie it couldn't really be much more simple. So I've got a size 5 wide gape long shank hook. I'll take about 12 inches of the Cortex Soft in £25 from the Naturals range, and I'll strip off a little bit of the end, just a few inches, that's all you need to do. And I'll whip that bit that's been stripped off down the hook, doing a knotless knot, and then I'll come back up the hook once I get to the part where the coating is intact. So you'll have half a wrap of the coated braid around the hook, then back out the eye, and that finishes your knotless knot. And then I'll just trim off the end that's coming out where you would have tied a hair if it had been a proper hair rig. Then I'll slide down my flipper over the eye of the hook, and that just creates that aggressive angle. Then I'll slide on a micro hook ring swivel, and that will be followed by a hook bead that butts up against it. I make the rig about 6 to 7 inches, and I will use a figure of 8 loop knot, which allows me to attach it to quick change swivels. I slide on a micro tungsten anti-tangle sleeve, and then put a small blob of tungsten putty in the middle. Then for my hook bait, what I'm using at the moment is a Live System wafter tipped with a piece of pink pop-up. So with the pop-up, just using a knife, I'll slice off about 1/3 of that pop-up. That will be my topper, and then I'll slice 1/3 off of the wafter, which means that I've got 2/3 left. So the pink third, I'll slide onto my baiting needle, then I'll slide on the wafter 2/3, then using bait floss, I'll attach it to the micro hook ring swivel, burning down with a lighter, and that'll give me a slightly lighter hook bait than the wafters give me, but it'll still mean that the hook sits flat on the lake bed. So that is the German Flippa Rig, all finished, and as I say, it has been super effective for me, not just on this session, but for the last couple of years, whenever I've been using a wafter hook bait, this is the setup I've been using, and it's been absolutely nailing them. Those wide gape long shanks, honestly, if you haven't tried them, you need to get on them because they are something else. Finish it off by putting it on a leg clip system, and yeah, it's been going out onto that gravel spot in amongst the weed and absolutely slaying them this morning. Right, you guys have been working infinitely harder than I have since we've been here. But obviously you've been privy to the development and now the sort of promotion of a lot of these new products. But you guys have got some favourites. Moz, I know you've got one that probably sits higher than everything else.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to obviously have our XL barrow, the big barrow, which has changed my life. In all fairness, I'm not joking when I say that. It has changed my life because I take so much kit with me. I obviously have to take so much camera equipment with me as well as fishing equipment. And I like to take, I hate going back to the van. So I like to just load it all onto the barrow. There was one point actually where I took my little one and the barrow was taller than the van and it still went with no issues whatsoever. And having them back wheels that's
a game changer,
can manoeuvre around corners is 100% a game changer.
I think the key things with that product, one, the power is unlike any other barrow of its kind, really.
It's like a monster truck.
It is like a monster truck, and you need that because not all paths are flat, are they? When you go around a lake, they're not all flat. And I think most barrows have been designed, or power barrows have been designed for flat terrain, whereas ours has been designed for motocross.
Yeah, that's it. And then those wheels on the back as well, like just in terms of going round corners, because lakes aren't a straight line.
No,
you've got to go around a corner at some point.
Yeah.
And you just don't have to sort of lift it up and shunt it round like you have done with barrows with wheels on the back in the past.
That's right, where it came from. I followed a guy off a lake. I had my transporter just doing the hard worky bit, busting a sweat out and all that lot. And he was just pushing his barrow. He was just walking behind his barrow. But he literally, because the whole lake was like a big round bit at the end to come off it, wasn't sharp, but because it was long and round, he kept having to stop every now and again, lift or drag his barrow so he could go off another straight line because he just couldn't go around the corners.
And the problem, you'll do your back in as well, because if you've got back wheels on a barrow, you have to load it heavy at the back. You can't load it like a normal barrow. You can't load it heavy at the front because it's always going to want to tip. So you're forcing the wheels down if you load it that way. So you have to have all the weight at the back. So having them wheels that can manoeuvre with a barrow that's heavy at the back just changes your life.
And that was that was one of the design points that we got through some of your feedback and a few of the other guys that use them. As we got to the latter, say the middle stages of that particular barrow, it was like we need to move that battery box to the back.
Yeah, to the back.
Because naturally, every barrow that you design, you want weight forward, so you've not got the weight on your hands.
Yeah.
Naturally, we did that with the barrow, the other barrow. Then we stuck wheels on the back and put side rails and made it longer and everything. But it was like, actually, to do that, you need to load it differently. So then we moved that box from behind the wheel all the way to the back to make it a bit more balanced.
Yeah. And then obviously another thing on the power side of things is getting it up into your van as well. Whereas you need that power because you obviously 9 times out of 10 you're going to leave the barrow loaded. You might take your rods off of it, you might take your bivvy off of it.
You can't leave yours loaded, you won't get it in the van.
Well, I get it in, I still get it up there. I just ram it in there, but the power forces it in. But yeah, you know, it's always steep, isn't it? You know, from the back of your van or the side of your van, it's a very steep hill to get, and that barrow just straight in every single time, no issues whatsoever.
The other one's quite good though as well.
I haven't tried the other one. Don't need to.
For those
like
that
one.
for those that don't want wheels at the back, and those that have maybe not a van but a large estate car, then it's a good barrow because even though it's a power barrow, it will break down, fold up, and put it in the back of the car.
Yeah. But that's not one I've used. You know, I've not used that one. That one for me, you know, if you're going to take loads of equipment, where do most people do? When do you, like most of my mates, their barrow's loaded up or they do 2 trips. You know, you're doing 1 trip with that barrow. No matter what you want to take, you're doing 1 trip.
And no matter what you want to take and who you want to take in your case.
Yeah.
What about you, Scott? Obviously, you've had a hand in pretty much everything. So
it's hard to.
There's a lot of product.
Yeah, can't even remember what's on there, to be honest with you now.
That's not good. You developed it all.
I just mean in terms of the sheer volume of stuff. The obvious one is the bivvy light and security system. For years and years, people have wanted a bivvy light to work with what was our old alarms with the NTXRs. Then we brought the RX Plus out, and people have wanted that. And it was always a plan to do that. We just never actually got round to making it happen properly. So obviously this time we've made it happen. It links in with your alarms, links in with the PIR. But I think one thing that sets it apart from other systems that are around is it links into your current alarm. So we've had RXs for 8 years now, I can't remember, however long it's been. So people who have owned them,
Excuse me.
bless you. People have owned them for so long don't have to sell all their kit and buy a new set of kit. They can buy a system now that links into their alarms that they've had for years and years.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously,
You
finished.
People.
You know, the amount of kit we do carry and the amount of kit we've got with us, we want to try and feel safe or keep it safe.
Yeah.
And the fact that it links into your receiver, so you've got an audible alarm signal and you can link it in to the bivvy light, use it as a floodlight. So many different ways you can use that. Bivvy light in your bivvy with the remote, linked into your alarm so it goes off. Have another one outside of your bivvy that's set to your alarms anyway that lights your swim and everything up. You can have another one on a sensor that's on a sensor that will send a signal to your receiver, give you an audible beep, and then a light that would shine. So if somebody was approaching this swim, for example, you could set it up at the back here.
Yeah.
There's only one way in, so they've got to break the motion sensor beam sort of thing as they come through, and then the light, 1,000 lumens, shines in your eyes at night. You can't see nothing. But then the guys from Fishing Europe, who maybe their rods and their bivvies, boats are 50, 60 metres away, they can have a light set up so when they walk through the motion, it lights their boat up so they can get their life jacket on, get the rod. There's so many different ways of using that whole system that
it'd be a game changer for me, that, like, because you never get to film anything at night. Like, obviously I'm vlogging all the time, everything I do is filmed. So now I'll be able to film the bite off of my GoPro that's running on a looping system. So the minute the alarm goes, the light comes on and the GoPro's recording an actual live bite at night, which is something I've never done before. But not only that, when I'm playing the fish, I've got a light to illuminate the swim of me playing a fishing. Again, I've never been able to do that before.
Yeah.
So
I'd never even thought about that, but that is a huge game changer for you.
Yeah, and most people vlog as well, and no one ever gets to be able to film at night because you can't, because you haven't got that illumination there to light up your swim and film you playing a fishing. But now that system can do that for me. So
perfect. I think for me, there's probably 2 things.
did we ask him?
I don't think we did.
Well, I'm going to say anyway. Screw you guys.
Sorry, mate. What's your favourite one, Harry?
I've got two.
Okay.
So firstly, I really like the innovation that's gone into the retreat brolly in terms of having a front that zips in and then gives you a hole in a dome, zipped in ground sheet. Like that's, I'm pretty sure has never been done
Brolly
before
with an inner dome,
on a brolly. You've got the inner dome, you've got a zipping ground sheet. You know, these
I think brollies aren't sort of the in vogue shelter to use at the moment, but it's important to be able to offer a solution because there is waters in Europe where you cannot use a shelter. It has to be a brolly configuration. So it has to have brolly spokes. It has to go up and down like a brolly. So, you know, historically that has meant that, yeah, you could use a brolly, but for these waters where people want to have an inner dome because of bugs and things and whatever and stuff, now there's something available.
Yeah, and in terms of a system, there's never been a brolly system that offers so much because you've also got the extension and you've got mozzie mesh fronts and you've got all of the things that it offers, as well as the ridiculous like Ventec material that we put on all of our top end bivvies. It's the ultimate brolly. Like there's never been a brolly made that's had as much go into it as that. And then secondly, a little bit of a personal one for me because it's my my sort of product. I came with the idea. I certainly didn't put all of the intricate bits into it because that's all of our.
I was waiting for this. There's the big build up.
Yeah, no, the net safe. And then in conjunction with the net cover that we brought out earlier in the year, I fish more and more venues these days where you're not allowed to retain fish, but they like you to let the fish sort of recover in the net. And in the past, there has been other sort of options, and I've always used sort of a buzz bar with rod rests on top of it, and then another pole at the back, and it's just a bit. It's never quite perfect, and yeah, we developed this, and it is the perfect solution. It's just one bank stick that goes in. You can angle the net safe to different angles, so once you've got a fish in the net, you can angle it up, which gives it even less of a chance of escaping out the net. And on this session, a fish has literally leapt like a salmon to try and escape from that net. It wasn't even like it had been in there for very long. 5 minutes it had been in that net, and it started to try to jump out. And yeah, if it wasn't secured with the net safe and didn't have the net cover over it, it would have got out. I'd have lost that fish. And we've had too many occurrences this year, or heard too many occurrences this year of people losing really epic fish, lake records, personal bests, uncaught like 30 pounders I've heard of from like really undisclosed venues that nobody knows about. And these fish never got their photo taken.
No.
And
it's just not worth the risk, is it? It's just not worth the risk for the sake of chucking one of them net covers over.
Like most people are going to say, "Oh well, it's never happened to me." Well, it's only ever once happened to me that I've lost a fish out of the net. But if that's your PB or your target fish, are you ever going to be able to forgive yourself if those products are available to you, and also like really inexpensive? They don't cost a lot.
Well, with the net safe, you need one bank stick, so you only got to carry a bank stick, and the net safe is designed so that you can rotate the bits that hold the net and the pole in together, so it's nice and compact in design. One bank stick and that, easy, and then your net covers like a bag like that big. So it's not as if you've got to carry 2-3 bank sticks, a buzzer bar, other things. It's something really sort of easy and cheap.
And also, in terms of like retaining fish, it just gives the fish, you don't have to get the fish out, put it in the retainer sling, put it back, then get it out and it's coming out of the water once.
Unhook it in the net.
Unhook it in the net, exactly.
Put it in the net safe, put the cover over it, leave it, and then take it out when you do your picture and wait and put it back.
Yeah. So, yeah. There's also a lot more products in the launch, but yeah, those are our favourites, and yeah, check out everything else that we've got to offer.
I do like the cook station because I just like to cook.
Yeah, dinner was nice last night.
John
I
said,
haven't seen that.
John said
He's
that was
hidden
the
that
best
away from
food
me.
he's ever had on the bank
You
last
turned
night.
up late
What?
yesterday.
All because it was from the cook station.
No,
Oh.
I don't know.
No, he did say, yeah, he did say it was one of the best burgers he's ever had.
No, he said the wrap was the best food he's ever had on the bank before, and that was all
Solely-
down
yeah.
to that particular product. That was it. He wouldn't have been able to create that with anything other than that product.
Right.
But in all seriousness, it's a nice piece of kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the edges range and the clothing.
The bobble hats.
Yeah, and everything else. So yeah, there's a lot of new products. If you'd like to know more about the products, I'll put a link to the new product page on our website in the description below. That lists all of the new products that we've just launched, and also I'll put a link to our new product video as well. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you check it out in the description below.
Morning guys, it is 4 o'clock in the morning and I've just filled my net again. Oh, I just got a bite, look at that. Can you believe it? Well, I'm in again, and yeah, bites have come earlier this morning because this is my second in the last 20 minutes, to be honest. The light's just breaking in the sky, so this is an hour and a half earlier than what I've had the bites in the last couple of days, and that just sort of tells me that the fish are getting more and more onto the bait, which is a shame because today is the last day. We're off this morning, but also brilliant because that fish in there is very big, and this one is also running me a little bit of a merry dance, to be honest. Just brilliant fishing, and again yesterday didn't fish from 10 o'clock until I put the rods out last night at 11 o'clock. We had a bit of a social bite to eat, and oh, go on. And so the rods have been out of the water for over 12 hours, but it has definitely made the difference because the bite windows are morning. It's just typical summer fishing. And if you can make the most of those opportunities and let them have free water when they're not feeding, it can pay dividends. Birds are tweeting about, this is absolutely perfect one. I was doing a piece on my phone, just going, oh, I've just got one in the net. Put the rods back out, there might be another chance. It's literally ripped like whilst I'm doing it. Yeah, as soon as it got light, I could see them fizzing out there. Go on. Oh, this line's pivoting on a bit of weed. This is the first one that I've had that hasn't just weeded me up straight away. Even that nice one that's in there just weeded me straight away. So it's nice to have had a bit of a tussle, to be honest. Go on. Right, here we go. Oh, he's a common. He's a common. And he's in. Ah, excellent. Well, what a morning again, and we're not even into the time when I had the bites before, so there could be more on the cards. Who knows? I'm not going to count my chickens, but that is, yeah, a common carp that is less than half the size of the one that's in there. So, yeah, let's get the rod back out, a couple more spods of bait, and then have a look at these guys. Wicked. Shuffle. There should be a carp in there, hopefully. Is there? I believe we have carp. I believe we have carp. Yes, there is a carp there. Ah, wicked. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. What have we got? What have we got? Another, it's probably a low 20 mirror. I'm happy. Very good, very nice. Very good, very nice. There we go, number 2 of this morning's little flurry, and my first common of the session. So very, very happy about that gnarly old common. I think it's worth mentioning as well, over the last few years I've kind of fallen into the trap of post-spring using less bright baits and bright toppers and going more to the match the hatch, and I'm starting to think that it's a bit of a fashion. The last couple of weeks I've had some fantastic sessions using little pink toppers, nothing too like big and obvious, but just small pink toppers over beds of boilies, beds of sweet corn, beds of pellet, and just every time I'm getting quick bites. The fish are feeding on me for not too long and I'm getting bites, and I'm not having to put loads of bait out, which I think goes to show that actually those pink toppers really do help. And don't just think that because it's not the spring I have to use match the hatch and I'm not going to use another bright one until the winter. It catches their eye, they can see it, they pick it out, and I believe it gets quicker bites for sure. So here is number 3 of the morning and number 8 of the session. I can't believe it. Definitely the hardest fighting one of all of them. So despite him being far from the biggest, he gets my respect in that regard. Yeah, I am absolutely over the moon. I never anticipated action like this, and I've had a wonderful session down here at Swan Valley in Yateley.
what more can I say? We've had great time filming the products, brilliant time fishing. It's been a good week at work. We are zeroed in on this fish, and now I've got it on the mat. Yeah, it's quite big. This is like, yeah, I'm speechless, to be honest, with the size of this. So let's have a look. There you go. 40-pound 9. 8. 40 pounds and a half. Wow. Yes. Oh, that is literally like my 15-year-old self's dream. A Yateley 40-pounder back in the noughties. That's like what every carp angler wanted to catch. That was the pinnacle in my formative years. So I cannot believe it. And look at it as well. That is just a brute, an absolute brute. Well, how about that? 40 pounds and 8 ounces of old battle-scarred Yateley mirror. This one has certainly been through the wars in its time, and like I said, I am literally living out my childhood dreams right now. Catching fish of this size was an absolute pipe dream back then. But the place to do it was Yateley, and you'd see them in Carp Talk holding up these amazing carp, and it was always like, yeah, one day maybe that will be me. And today is that day. 40-pounder from Yateley. Wow, absolutely wow. Right, so you'll have seen this carp has the bottom lobe of its tail missing, and I don't know quite how recent it was, but probably was a spawning wound, and they spawned maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'm just gonna dry it off because it's just not entirely healed up. You can see it's got a bit of bruising on it, and just a few little bits have opened up. So yeah, the best thing to do is treat it. I've just got propolis, which you can get from Holland and Barrett. I'm going to pour it straight on, so they got loads. Yeah, Holland and Barrett for £5, so it's a bargain. Then you just seal it off with a bit of water, and that should be it, nice and protected, and going to heal up nicely. It is a shame when things like that happen, but it's nature, and they absolutely batter themselves when they're spawning. So yeah, fair play to him or her for trying so hard to keep this famous old strain of carp going. Got to treat them with the most respect we possibly can. And there we go. One last look for me before sending, I think it's a he, on his way. And he has certainly made me very, very happy. What a session this has been. Off you go. Yes. Mental. Absolutely mental.
Well, we couldn't let Harry have all the glory, could we? So I was lucky enough to chip in with this. I was lucky enough to chip in with this. Angry. £37 Swan Valley mirror. Look at that thing, man. Wow. Absolutely magnificent. A fish that I recognised from yesterday morning, taking floaters off the surface. I was unfortunate there, but I got me revenge with this one. Absolute mega carp. Mega place as well, and somewhere I'll definitely be coming back to. Look at that thing. Proper Yateley one. Yes! Beautiful. And there's the other side of this magnificent creature. Absolutely over the moon with that. What a carp and what a place. Yes. Oh, thank you, bees. Go on, son. Yes.